To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Hi, I'm Nathan Fox. I'm chair of the MFA Visual Narrative Program at the School of Visual Arts, as well as co-creator and artist on the Weatherman series through Image Comics. And you are watching The Experience.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Dan Wickline Show. I hope you're all having a great week, and you're all getting ready for the Halloween weekend. I did get out to one costume party this month. I dressed up as Fat Thor, which I was kind of limited on my costume choice. It was either Fat Thor or Archer from Archer and Armstrong, and I didn't think anybody got that one. So there I went with my Mjolnir in hand. Now, before we get to our main topic, I figured I'd hit a few news stories. So let's do that, and we'll jump in and see how it goes. Now, one thing people have been wondering for years now is just exactly how does the Hulk deal between Marvel and Universal work, right? Universal had the rights to the character, and they produced the Ang Lee film with Eric Bana as Bruce Banner, but they failed to get it off the ground, and the date was coming up where if they didn't get a sequel ready, that the rights would revert back to Marvel. Well, David Mazzell, a former Marvel Studio executive who was big in the early days of Marvel Studios, he stepped in and he made a deal with Universal that Marvel would make the next Hulk film and pay Universal to distribute it. Now, this deal, of course, led to the 2008 film with, I can never think of his name when I want to, JD, who played Hulk in 2008, Ed Norton. So Ed Norton, and there was a lot of stuff between the studio and whatnot there, and Universal wanted Ed Norton, and Marvel wanted Mark Ruffalo, but it led to that film, but it also opened the door for Marvel to be able to use Hulk in as many future multi-character films as possible, like The Avengers and Thor Ragnarok. But Universal would retain the right to first refusal to distribute any future Hulk solo films. And with how popular the MCU is right now, there's no way Universal will turn down distributing a Hulk film, right? So this deal would allow the Hulk will also allow the Hulk to appear in the upcoming Disney Plus series She-Hulk. So, but there's been some rumors lately that there might be another solo Hulk movie in the works, and I just don't see it. I don't see Disney willing to put that much money in someone else's pocket. Now, could we get Avengers World War Hulk? Absolutely possible. If it's an Avengers film and the Hulk just happens to be the bad guy. But I don't think we're going to get a Hulk solo film anytime soon because it's just too much money out of Disney's pocket and into the pocket of Universal, and they're not going to do that. All right, moving on to another story. I saw a headline this morning that said, "The Eternals is now past Thor the Dark World as the worst reviewed Marvel film of all time." Okay, that's technically true. It's also very misleading. The information they're using for this, of course, is the film scores from Rotten Tomatoes. The critic score for Eternals right now is 63%. Thor 2 came in at 66%. So yeah, Eternals is doing worse than the second Thor film, but we have to keep in mind that's still a positive result. A 63% fresh is still on the upside. Okay? I mean, compare it to... It's more like liking it to Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice. That one had a score of 29%. You compare that to Eternals, Eternals is a freaking juggernaut. And when you think about it like that, maybe folks should stop bashing Thor the Dark World so much. I mean, it's at 66% fresh. Now, you got to start looking like thinking about this kind of like your favorite jelly beans. What's your favorite jelly bean flavor? You know, maybe it's not your favorite flavor, but they're still jelly beans, which are great, except black ones. Who the hell wants licorice flavored anything? No, get rid of the black jelly beans. But, you know, the rest of the jelly beans are awesome. And it doesn't matter if it's purple or green or white or yellow. And growing up, purple and green were always my favorite, but now white is because that spearmint flavor. But I digress. Stop worrying about the film. Okay? Wait till it comes out. See for yourself. There's no... Thor the Dark World was... I agree with you, JD. I think Christopher Eccleston was greatly underused. There is rumors that there is a bunch of footage that got cut. I think it's Alan Taylor, the director, has basically said he wished they'd put out a director's cut. And I'd love to see a director's cut of it. Jay says, unpopular opinion, I like the first two Thor movies more than Ragnarok. Jay, I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion. I agree with you to a certain extent. I think the first Thor movie was the most Thor of Thor movies. To me, that was Jack Kirby or Walt Simon. That was Walt Simonson's Thor, was what Kenneth Branagh put on film. I think they probably chopped the hell out of Dark World, but it was still pretty good, and that's still Thor that connected. What Taika Waititi did was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the film, but that wasn't a Thor film to me. You know, that's not the same character that I grew up reading in the comics and stuff like that. It's they're taking him a completely different direction. Now, a lot of people like it. It's become very popular, and they're going to continue doing it. But if I'm comparing it to the source material, I'm going to go with the Kenneth Branagh Thor first, and then Dark World second. And then, so I agree with you in that sense, Jay, that Thor the Dark World and Thor are much more Thor films than Ragnarok is. So, all right. Another bit of news, and it's not really news. It's more... Yeah, they could have done without the bleached eyebrows in the Kenneth Branagh Thor. That is the one downside. I'm kind of raging against the world lately. I'm seeing a lot of bad headlines, and like the Eternals one. And another one, it appears that the reason why the majority of Marvel films for 2022 and 2023 got bumped back a slot are because there's some scheduled reshoots for the upcoming Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, star Benedict Cumberbatch told the Today Show that they would be doing reshoots in November and December. This, of course, has led to people on the internet screaming that this film must be a complete mess, and 2 months of reshoots is unheard of, and it just has to be an utter disaster. And to that I say, shut up. Okay, every movie does reshoots. It's just what you do. And then when you add in the fact that they're working in a giant cohesive universe where all these films are connected and all these things happen, you need to have the flexibility to tweak things, to make changes. Also, with something like Doctor Strange, where they're looking like they're going to bring in a bunch of stuff, just like they do with Spider-Man, these other actors, it might be the fact that an actor wasn't available and now is going to be available, so they could put him in like they weren't going. I mean, we don't know. And also looking at the fact that they're doing reshoots in November and December and saying, oh my God, 2 months. He doesn't say we're shooting all of November and December. The bottom line is that there isn't that much time in those 2 months when you think about it because of the holidays. You have Thanksgiving, you have Hanukkah, and you have Christmas in there. So a lot of those times are not available shooting dates, depending on your actors and stuff. You've got maybe 2 weeks in December you can shoot. And depending on when you start in November, you really don't have that last week. So there's a chance that they're going to do a week or two in November and a week or two in December. And that's not 2 months worth of reshoots. Maybe it's 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks at the most. And it depends on what you're reshooting. But it does, just because you get hit in the face with a raindrop doesn't mean the sky is falling, people. And don't believe when you see these headlines, because all they're doing is they're trying to get you to click. They're doing these sensational headlines. You guys know this. So I'm going to stop dealing with them. I'm going to stop reading them. But just don't worry about Doctor Strange. It's in good hands. And JD adds that, plus the original shoot was split into 2 by COVID. With that much chaos, there must have been some things that slipped. Exactly. And then you've had the Loki series come out. You've had, things that they're still changing. From what I understand, the Venom addition or the Venom ending scene happened late, which means that they might have changed things on Spider-Man and might change things on Doctor Strange. The fact that Marvel is concerned enough to make changes like that to protect continuity and to do stories, or maybe to be able to do new neat things, that should be celebrated, not, oh my God. Jay says, Dan out here reading my mind again. Completely agree with the thoughts on the reshoots. People just freak out and think, the movie must be terrible. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's where I'm at. It's just people need to relax. All right. And I got one more bit of things I'm going to throw out here, and this is for anybody listening. If you don't follow Zenescope on Twitter, you might want to, or at least go check out their Twitter. They're giving away an NFT by Halloween. They're going to give this away. And it's the cover from a book I did for them that was basically Sleepy Hollow. We did the Sleepy Hollow story. And there's 2 versions, I guess, of the NFT. One is just the artwork, and the other has my signature added to the NFT. And they're saying that their estimated value on the one with my signature is $1,000. And they're giving that away. Now, I don't know why it would be worth that much. I don't understand NFTs. I'm old. I know it's a non-fungal token or a non-fungal something or other. I don't get them. I would love, by the way, if there's any professional out there that truly understands NFTs and would like to come on the show and talk about them, I would happily have you as a guest. Fungible. Yeah, fungible. Okay. So I would love to have an NFT expert as a guest to explain it to me and the audience. But if you're looking for a free, or if you're looking to win an NFT, you just have to go to the Zenescope Twitter account, click like on that particular tweet. It's about 4 or 5 tweets in as of like an hour ago. Non-fungal token would be one without mushrooms. Oh, I see where you're going. Fungible, fungal, whatever. I'm old. I don't need to understand it. I just am part of it. I own a couple. I got them because of the not stupid, but the DC fandom. I ended up getting a couple. Yeah, Jay, pop over to Zenoscope, and Jay says, "Oh wow, Dan, that's awesome. I don't understand NFTs either, but awesome nonetheless." So, yeah, just go over to Zenoscope, because if it is worth $1,000, for God's sakes, go get yourself something for $1,000 just for clicking like, because I mean, someone's going to win it, right? Might as well be you. All right, we're going to get on to our main topic, and as the little banner thing. I'm going to get this one these days. This one down here. There it is. This thing right here tells you, today we're talking about Batman, The Long Halloween. Since Halloween's this weekend, it seemed like a good time to talk about it. Now, this is my second favorite Batman story arc after Hush. I am a huge fan of Hush. And it might be the only difference being that the writer is the same. Jeph Loeb wrote both stories. And they're both mysteries, and I love mysteries. The difference might be that I absolutely love Jim Lee's artwork, and I really, really like Tim Sale's artwork. So that's probably the difference, is that Jim Lee, Tim Sale. So that's the only reason why The Long Halloween is second. Also, I think the mystery in Hush is a little bit better. I think there's a one problem with the Hush mystery that bothers me, but everything, But so now this is a 13-issue series, again, done by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. And the two of them just got together to do a special one-shot that's set in this world that just came out yesterday. So if you're by your local comic shop, look for Batman The Long Halloween special. And it's a new story that's set in this. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I definitely want to pick it up because I love this series. I just reread it recently. Also, there's because it's the 25th anniversary is the reason they did the special. They just did a 2-part animated movie. Also, the story is an influence on both the Christopher Nolan Batman movies and the upcoming Matt Reeves The Batman. So we're going to break it down. You know what? JD asked if I was going to need the spoiler thing. Let's go ahead and run the spoiler thing just in case somebody hasn't read. So do it, JD. All right. Now, it was originally published in 1996 and 1997 and was a follow-up to 3 different Batman Legends of the Dark Knight Halloween specials done by Loeb and Sale. Archie Goodwin had gone to them and said, "Hey, you want to do any more Batman?" And he talks about in an interview, Loeb says that the idea came to him. He was talking to Ron Mars, who suggested that if you're going to go, because the idea was to play in the Year One universe, the Year One universe. So, kind of pick up on that. And what Mars suggested was, well, why don't you look into Harvey Dent? Because there really hasn't been an exploration of his character before he becomes Two-Face. So that's where the idea came from, according to Jeph Loeb. Now, the series is also followed by 2 other series by the pair, Batman Dark Victory, and then later on they did Catwoman When in Rome. Catman When in Rome would be very different. It would probably be written by Gail Simone. Just saying. Catwoman When in Rome, Jeph Loeb, Tim Sale. Now, the story takes place in the early days of Batman's career and tells the story of the mysterious holiday killer who murdered one person a month and, of course, always on a holiday. They would leave behind a .22 automatic that had a baby bottle nipple on it as a kind of a homemade silencer, and the serial numbers are filed off. It's kind of a custom job thing. Now, but there's a lot more going on with it than just the fact that there's a serial killer, because the victims are all tied to the two big organized crime families in Gotham. One's led by Carmine the Roman Falcone, and then the other is Salvador Moroni, who used to work for Falcone, and now he's kind of doing his own thing, which makes each family think the other is responsible, because all the victims are tied to those families. So they start killing off some of Carmine's people, and they start killing off some of Sal's people, and they start pointing fingers at each other, and it starts a mob war. Also, Falcone is trying to stay in power, and he needs to launder money, and he wants to do it through the big bank, Gotham Bank, and Bruce Wayne's in charge of the bank, so he tries to manipulate Bruce into helping with the laundering. The thing is that Carmine and Thomas Wayne had a relationship, so he thinks that he can do that, but Bruce has nothing to do with it. Now, the story works in many different ways. It continues the story from Batman Year One, done by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli, another great series if you haven't read it. It spends time with Harvey Dent, expanding on his character before he becomes Two-Face. It helps build the romantic connection between Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle, which is now all the rage. It helps establish Batman's detective abilities as he tries to piece all of this together. He's not the world's greatest detective yet. He's just getting into it. So he's still kind of learning all that. But the most important thing it does is that it transitions Batman from basically facing off against gangsters and thugs to him focusing on his rogues gallery. You know, he went from Falcone and Moroni to Two-Face, Joker, Riddler, and Penguin. So this was the story of how Gotham basically transferred from being a mob city to a costume freak city. And it's very interesting to see how that happens. Now, the story also features a long-forgotten Batman villain, Julian Gregory Day, also known as the Calendar Man. And he ends up basically working kind of like Hannibal Lecter to Batman's Clarice, trying to guide him, because it's Holiday Killer, and who knows holidays better than Calendar Man, I guess. But it also features a ton of other villains. You get Joker, who is pissed off because Holiday is stealing his thunder. Mad Hatter and Scarecrow get involved. Poison Ivy, the Riddler, Solomon Grundy. You don't really see a lot of Solomon Grundy in the Batman stories. Nowadays, they tend, if they would need that kind of character, they go with Killer Croc. But here they went with Solomon Grundy. And Tim Sale's version of Solomon Grundy is absolutely great, just like his version of all the characters. Just very unique, but very cool looking. And it's basically the origin story for Two-Face. It also shows why someone like Falcone would end up hiring a group of costume villains to do his dirty work. So there's a ton going on here in 13 episodes. Now, while the story starts with Falcone pressuring Bruce and then Batman investigating, trying to figure out what's up Falcone's up to, and he goes to the penthouse only to find Catwoman sneaking around in Falcone's penthouse. But the real important moment comes with Batman, Harvey Dent, and Jim Gordon. They're standing on top of the police station, and they kind of get into this pact where they're agreeing that they're going to bring down Falcone, and that they might bend the law some to make it happen, but they will not break it. So they're all kind of agreeing to look the other way to a certain point, but stopping the other one altogether. Sean says, personally, the portrayal of Harvey Two-Face was one of the best I've seen. Agreed. This really sells Two-Face as a character. It really establishes his backstory. We've always been told, oh, Harvey and Bruce were friends, and oh, Harvey and Batman had a connect. Well, This is where it comes from. In the animated movie, there's a line where Batman says, Harvey was my friend. Well, you start to believe it in this, So there's really good connection here. So they make this pack, and then the first victim is Johnny Vitti, which is Falcone's nephew, and he's killed on Halloween. Now, the gun is left with a jack-o'-lantern right next to the body. And this kind of creates the MO for the killer, because they always leave the gun with the silencer thing and a holiday tchotchke, a jack-o'-lantern, a cornucopia, a pot of gold, those type of little things to symbolize the particular holiday. Now, what happens next is that Catwoman gets involved, and we don't really find out till later on what her connection here is, but she leads Batman, and by way of Dent, to a warehouse where Falcone stashes like $20 million in cash that he needs to launder. So this is a huge part of his wealth. And they set it on fire. They just light up the warehouse. They cause a giant fire. Because that's just bending the law, I guess. But they set it on fire. And this just infuriates Falcone. And he sends a group of hitmen. He knows that Dent's behind it. He sends a group of hitmen called the Irish after Dent. And while they destroy his home, Dent and his wife Gilda, who I don't think we really met Dent's wife prior to this. This is probably where she was created. And she's a rather interesting character. She comes across very frail, very disturbed in some ways. But she's a really important character. We meet her and they escape, but the Irish are then killed by this mysterious killer. And it all takes place on Thanksgiving. So he leaves the gun and a cornucopia behind because it's Thanksgiving. From there, Milos Grappa, Falcone's bodyguards, gets killed on Christmas. And that's when they start calling him a holiday because all the killings were on the holidays. Now, in the new year, for New Year's, Falcone's having a big party on his yacht, and his son Alberto gets killed and pushed overboard. And, of course, Holiday leaves. He shoots him, then pushes him overboard, leaves the gun, leaves, like, champagne glasses there, symbolizing that. And Batman and Selina are both there as well. Now, this is when Holiday's focus changes. He shifts to Moroni's men, which causes fingers to be pointed and the war to start. Now, they start taking on each other and really causing more damage to each other than Holiday was. Holiday is killing like 1 or 2 people at a time every month. And suddenly now there's this gang war. So all of their lieutenants are dying and everything else. And it's really tearing the two mobs apart, which you think would be a good thing. But there are people, innocent people are getting caught in the crossfire. So it's getting bad. All right. We're at our halfway point for the episode. So let's go ahead and take a quick break. And I'll come back and we'll find out how Falcone deals with the new gang war. Be right back.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Hey, I'm Joe Pruitt. I'm the publisher and /CEO of Aftershock Comics, and you're watching The Experience.
Hey, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show, folks. This is the point where I normally tell you what the lineup for the rest of the day is, but JD hasn't put that in the chat yet for me to see, so just stick around and watch whatever we put on. You'll like it. That'll work, right? You guys are good with that? Yep. Oh, wait. I think JD's typing. Sorry. Okay. So I'll let him type that up. Guys, if you get a chance, can you hit the like, subscribe buttons, those things? That helps us out a lot, and it would mean a lot to me. So I'd appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up or the care button, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Maybe share the link. If you got somebody who thinks, Long Halloween, they'd like it. Share the link to the video if you would. I'd appreciate it. After this, we have a What's in the Box with Miss Jen. So she's got a new box she's going to open. You don't know what's going to be in it. And hilarity ensues. So up next is What's in the Box. All right. Let's get back to the Long Halloween. Now, at this point, the mob war has started. Everybody's killing each other, and Falcone is in a bad way. He shared and liked both on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you, Sean. Thank you very much. Now, have you been here the whole time, Sean? Do you know about the giveaway on the Zenescope Twitter account? They're giving away an NFT with my signature on it just for liking the post that talks about it on the Zenescope Twitter account. And they're saying the NFT is supposed to be worth about $1,000. So everybody should go over there and at least like that thing and try to win the NFT. All right. So Falcone's in a bad way. He's down 20 million from the fire. He's in the middle of a mob war. And he turns to the last people he would ever turn to. He hires costumed freaks, as he calls them. Basically, and what he does is he hires Poison Ivy to go after Bruce Wayne, to use her abilities to take control of him and force him to sign over a lot of his assets, to start allowing the bank to do the laundering. And this goes on for like a solid month. They're just taking over everything, and he's under control. But Selina, who is kind of dating Bruce at the time and has this thing going with Batman, figures it out. And, they end up fighting, her and Ivy. And Selina eventually frees Bruce Wayne, but then he has to undo all of that. Also, the Riddler got involved, but Holiday targets the Riddler and then doesn't kill him, but makes him the supposed victim on April Fool's Day, which is kind of interesting. But he's also, Holiday's sending a message to Falcone that he knows what's going on. That's kind of interesting. And then the police finally get a lead. They track down where Holiday is getting those 22 automatics made and filed down and stuff. It's a gun maker in Chinatown, but by the time they get there, the gun maker's already been killed as the Mother's Day victim of Holiday. So they couldn't talk to him. They couldn't get any clues. But this is where things start taking this weird turn, where both Batman and Gordon independently start to suspect that maybe Harvey Dent is Holiday. And other people, Calendar Man is kind of leaning in that direction when he's helping Batman. The mobsters are all trying to start to think that it's Dent. Well, the next thing that happens is Moroni's father gets killed on Father's Day. They leave a tie, which I think is a horrible gift for anybody's dad, because it's like, hey, here's something that you only wear to work on Father's Day. Okay. Anyway, don't buy your father a tie. It's a horrible idea. Buy him a book. Buy him something that help him relax. Don't buy him a tie. Anyway, so Moroni gets himself arrested, and he offers to flip on Falcone. And they do all the pre-trips. They get into the courtroom, and he's supposed to start testifying, but instead he's like, "Oh no, Falcone's a great guy. Yeah, no. When I worked for him, it was all great and stuff." And Dent's losing it because he's like, "What the hell? You said all this stuff." Well, this was all set up for Moroni to get a chance to get close enough to Dent, and throws acid in his face. And of course, this is the origin of Two-Face. He has this mental breakdown, and the dual personality comes out. Now, the reason he does this, of course, is that Moroni believes that Dent is Holiday and that he killed Moroni's father, and this was all for revenge. Now, Batman ends up deciding, Two-Face gets away. They take him to the hospital. He ends up getting away. And Batman decides to use Moroni as bait to try to capture Dent/Holiday, because they're all kind of thinking it's Holiday is Dent at this point. But what he does is Batman basically does a prisoner transfer for Moroni and dresses up in the SWAT uniform with the transfer so that he can then take him on. But when Moroni is attacked and killed, it turns out it's actually Alberto Falcone, who had died way back on New Year's and fallen overboard. Well, it turns out he had staged his own death and had kind of taken over being Holiday, or he had started doing, he was Holiday. Well, the problem is that's not where the story ends. So Alberto Falcone is Holiday, or so we believe. Two-Face resurfaces on Halloween, which is now the full year later, setting all of the Arkham Asylum prisoners free. And then he goes off and he kills Carmine Falcone. And he's using the coin thing to make decision stuff, but he kills Falcone. And having finally completed his task of bringing down Falcone, he just turns himself into Gordon and Batman. Like, yep, I'm good. But he tells them that there were, in fact, 2 Holiday killers. He's like, did you figure it out? And because what it says is that Alberto didn't become the Holiday killer until he staged his own murder and did the murders going forward. That's why they started going after Moroni's people. But the person who went after Falcone's people was a different killer. And we find out later that it was actually Gilda Dent, Harvey's wife, who started the killings, all in an attempt to rid the city of Falcone and freeing her husband up to spend more time with her. Yeah. Yep, that whole thing, the Holiday killer thing, was set up so she could spend more time with her husband. Now, my one critique of the story is that the Gilda twist at the end really seems forced. It's almost like, well, we had the big reveal, but it still doesn't feel like it's big enough, so we need another twist. And it kind of feels like it was shoehorned in. The character is portrayed as frail all the way through. There's never a clue that she might have the ability to kill somebody or the instincts or any of that. So it just doesn't ring true. And had Holiday just been Alberto, or Alberto and Harvey doing the original killings, then I think it really would have been a strong mystery. I mean, it really would have been a good mystery. That said, it's a really good story. It's a lot of fun with amazing art, and it's well worth reading. So even though the ending is, that little ending twist, they could have left it out and it would have been perfect. It would have been amazing. It might have passed hush, but that little twist at the end just kind of weakens the story as a mystery a bit. Now, I now have the rest of tonight's lineup. So yes, after this is What's in the Box with Miss Jen, unboxes mystery boxes from our creative creator friends around the industry. Then she grabs a box from Space Cadet's warehouse, and you get a chance to some really great deals. So that's what makes sense, is that she grabs a box and then she sells the stuff in it. Then tonight, after that, we have from 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, we have our first late night show, and it's Kicking It with Henri. And this is his spooky spectacular. It's time to get freaky. Don't miss out on Henri's ghoulish savings on some rare spooky comics. He'll have other stuff for sale too. This is a show for everyone, and we found some. Come one, come all. Get ready to call it as you see it. I don't understand the tagline, call it as you see it. I'm going to have to ask Henri about that. Sean says, there's the other side story of Selena thinking Falcone's her father. I was going to get to that. I didn't bring it up because it ties into what I'm going to discuss in a minute. So we're going to get to that. Lost track here. Too many open tabs. Okay. So now there was recently the animated movie, the Long Halloween animated movies. I've got them here. And Warner Brothers, will Henri be live in costume? That's what we need to know. That's a good question, Travis. I don't know, but if he's not, JD, you need to tell Henri he needs to be in costume tonight. So you can send him a message that it's being requested that he's in costume tonight. So thank you, JD. Warner Brothers put together a really good cast for the animated movie. They got Jensen Ackles from Supernatural as Batman, Josh Duhamel as Harvey Dent, Billy Burke as Gordon, Naya Rivera as Catwoman, David Dastmalchian, who appears to be in every comic book related and sci-fi thing. Well, he's Calendar Man. Jack Quaid from The Boys is Alberto Falcone. Titus Welliver is Carmine Falcone. Katie Sackhoff as Poison Ivy. And, of course, Troy Baker is back as the Joker. Troy Baker is probably the second best Joker after Mark Hamill, so getting him is great. Now, this is using that new style of animation they've been doing. They introduced with Superman, Man of Tomorrow. And they tie it into the same universe that they're building along with the Justice Society World War II film, which was sort of a Flash film. If you watch it, it's actually a Barry Allen film. So, and there's even there's a neat post-credit scene in the animated movie that has Alfred going to the door to answer for trick-or-treaters, and he opens it up, and there, instead of children, are the Flash and Green Arrow, and he just simply leans back, looking very disappointed, and went, "Sir, it's for you." So they're tying those universes together. Now, they didn't do a direct adaptation. They changed quite a few things. So, again, little spoilers here, but Solomon Grundy plays a much bigger role in the animated movies. And the two holiday killers thing, they kind of ditched that. But overall, they kept the important story beats. I'm not sure why they felt it was necessary to change the killer. I mean, it's the same sort of killer, but not. And it's got the same problems that the original series has. And they did the same thing with Hush. When they redid they did a Hush animated movie, they changed who the bad guy was, and that was horrible. So I didn't think I've ever seen an animated Batman that wasn't voiced by Kevin Conroy or Adam West. I've seen quite a few. A lot of the days the animated movies are done with Jensen Ackles now, or the upcoming one, Injustice. I think it has plays Commander Pike on the new Star Trek stuff, and he was Black Bolt. Yeah. Oh, Jason O'Mara did a lot of the previous Batman, like the New 52 universe they did. And Nolan North, yeah, he's popped up as Batman too. Jason O'Mara did a really good job in the New 52 animated movies. He did a really good job. All right. So the animated movie, it's out now. Like I said, it's some changes, but they do a pretty good job. Bruce Greenwood did the Under the Red Hood, right? I think he did Under the Red Hood. Now, getting to what Sean had talked about, The Long Halloween has been a big influence on two different Batman movies. The original story was one of the influences on Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, particularly The Dark Knight from 2008. Now, that featured Harvey Dent's transformation. We got the whole crime scene or the courtroom scene and stuff like that. Dent forms a pact with Gordon and Batman to bring down the mob, like he did. Bruce Greenwood was Captain Pike in. Right, but I'm talking about the Captain Pike in the TV shows is Anson. I want to say Anson Mount. He was in Hell on Wheels, and he's also Black Bolt on the Inhumans TV series. But all right, so Dark Knight, Moroni. So basically, instead of going against Falcone, they're going up against Moroni. But Batman, Gordon, and Dent all make the same pact that they do in the comic. Both stories involve the mob laundering their money through Gotham banks. Yeah, Anson Mount, thank you. There's the scene where the Joker sets fire to the mob's money is very similar to Batman and Dent doing it to Falcone's stash. Gordon ends up disguising himself in a SWAT uniform during Dent's transport, the way that Batman does that to get Holiday to go after Moroni. So there's a lot of things there. Dent becomes Two-Face. He ends up going off and killing Sal Moroni, where he does Harvey Dent, or he kills Carmine Falcone. And there's even Gilda says a quote at the end of the graphic novel where she, even though Harvey's gone off to jail, she says she still believes in Harvey Dent, or that, he's now Two-Face. She still believes he'll come back. And she says, I believe in Harvey Dent. Well, that's the campaign slogan they use in The Dark Knight. I believe in Harvey Dent. So there's a huge takeaway from The Long Halloween in The Dark Knight. But if you look at the upcoming Batman movie, or The Batman, there is the subplot that Sean had talked about, where the reason that Selina is in Carmine Falcone's penthouse when Batman goes there at the very beginning, and we find it out through the story, is that she believes that she might be the daughter of Carmine Falcone. She could be Falcone's daughter. Now, we seen in the trailer, there is a penthouse scene, which everyone believes is Falcone's penthouse. And there is word that subplot may be in the movie, that there is a connection between Zoe Kravitz's Selina and John Turturro's Falcone. So there's also some other things. I've heard a few people talking about it, and I kind of think this is possible. There's a DA in it named, I think they're calling him Gil Grant, and is played by Peter Skarsgård. And it just seems like he's a throwaway guy, but it seems like it could be a good fake name if they want to introduce Harvey Dent here. So it just seems like there's some Long Halloween stuff, plus the tone and noir feel, the timing that this is early in Batman's career. So I expect that if you haven't read it yet, if you read The Long Halloween, you're going to see a lot of ties, a lot of similarities between the new Batman movie and The Long Halloween. Overall, I think it is one of the better Batman stories. Now, again, I come down on the side of Hush because Jim Lee's art, and I think it's a tighter mystery. There's some twists and turns, but the twists all make sense. All the characters, every bad guy that shows up makes sense why they're there. And in the Long Halloween, there's a couple characters that pop up, like Scarecrow and Mad Hatter, that really feel like they're there just to be punching bags. They're there to serve that particular issue without necessarily adding to the overall story, where all the characters that are introduced in Hush are there for a specific reason. They're part of the overall master plan. So that's why I think Hush is better than the Long Halloween, but it's only by a little, because Long Halloween is a really good story. Like I said, other than the twist ending, it really clicks for me. Dark Victory is a really good follow-up to it. And then When in Rome, the Catwoman story really follows up on the whole connection between Selina and Falcone. So, a deep dive into the Jeph Loeb Batman mysteries would be great for, I think, a great weekend, especially Halloween. But they've done absolute editions, and you can get these pretty easily if you want them collected. They're also available in like digital form, stuff like that. So I do recommend them. I also recommend the animated movie. I really like what they're doing now that started with the Superman Man of Tomorrow, the Justice League story. I think Batman's Son of the Dragon is considered part of it because the artwork is similar, but it feels out of continuity to me. Just like I don't know about the Injustice movie coming up, if that's going to be in continuity or not. It just seems really weird. I mean, I get that it's a good story, but I like when all the animated movies make a story, an overall story. So I'm hoping they continue that. All right, guys, that is my dissertation on my dissertation. Well, thank you for coming to my TED Talk today on the Batman: The Long Halloween. I might do one on Dark Victory later on because, like I said, it's a really good story. I might do one on Hush if you guys are interested. Let me know. Please comment on them. JD says, I don't know. I feel like these animated movies are distracting the WB studios from the genius that is Teen Titans Go. I'm just going to let you have that one, JD. I'm not going to comment on it. But I believe they're doing a Teen Titans Go meets DC Superhero Girls animated movie coming up. All right. Jay says yes, they would like to talk about Hush. Again, Hush is my absolute favorite Batman story, so I will happily put that on the schedule and come up with an entire episode dedicated to Hush. Hush would be fun one to discuss. I'm still holding hope for the Blackest Night coming as a movie. That would be awesome. Blackest Night was a really good story arc, and just amazing how Jeph Johns was able to put all that together. Yeah. So there's another one that I could probably dive into as well. But all right. So let me remind you guys, coming up right after this is Miss Jen with What's in the Box. Some great deals. Kicking It with Henri debuts tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, with our late night show. And hopefully he gets his memo about being in costume. Then love to dive into that and Flashpoint Paradox with you. Oh, there's another good one. You're going to make me dig out my old trades and reread some of these things, which I'm happy to do. I really am. So we could definitely make that happen and start doing more of these deep dives into some of the graphic novels and stuff. Again, for anybody who missed it, there is a contest going on over on Twitter on the Zenescope page. They're giving away an NFT of the cover of a comic I wrote called Sleepy Hollow. We did the Sleepy Hollow story. And there's two versions, but I guess one of them has my signature on it. They're saying that one's estimated value is $1,000. And all you have to do for a chance to win it is hit like on that post. So if you want a chance to win a NFT, cool cover art, and my signature on it, and all you have to do is click like, go on over to Zenoscope's Twitter page. All right, that's going to wrap it up here, folks. There it is. JD has a specific tweet. How cool. All right, let's get going. I'm going to be out of here now. Have a great weekend. Have a great Halloween. Hope you all have fun. Oh, thank you, Sean. Yeah, Sleepy Hollow was a lot of fun to write. Had a lot of fun with that one. But I hope you all have a great Halloween. You get some good candy and all that. Be safe. Take care of each other. And I'll see you next week.